Memorizing words. It's no fun and can often be quite frustrating. But it's a bit of a necessary evil when it comes to language learning. If you don't know any words, it's pretty much impossible to understand anything anyone says to you. Is there a good way to go about learning words? Or rather, is there a way that works better than other ways? Specifically, we're going to look at a study that tests whether it's better to learn words that are grouped together by theme or topic. For example, learning a bunch of colors at the same time or a bunch of prepositions. Or is it better to learn them in a more random order? Spoiler, you will learn them faster if you learn them randomly and be able to recall them faster too. Let's look at the details. The specific study we're looking at is called Apples and Oranges. How does learning context affect novel word learning? It was done by Mia Korochkina and others. They had a group of 60 people who spoke German as their dominant language. None of them learned a second language before the age of 6. 60 images were chosen for a new word learning task. They were pictures of things that 98% of people agreed on the word for in German. Random monosyllabic and disyllabic words were created for the words that the people would be learning, each word attached to an image. They were tested over a couple days to see how fast they could say the name of the object in the constructed language, and to see how fast they could translate from German to the new language. They found that people who memorized the list of words in related groups were about 50 milliseconds slower than people who memorized lists of words that were unrelated. So memorizing them in random order gives you about a 5% faster speed in identifying pictures. And for translating from German to the new language, it was about 160 milliseconds slower if the words were memorized in organized lists. That means you'd be about 12% faster translating if you use a random list while studying. In either case, you can identify pictures in the new language in about 75% of the time that you can translate from your native language to the new one. You'll also be able to recall the correct word at about a 5% better accuracy when you use a random list than an organized one. Admittedly, this isn't a major effect, but in the long run, any little bit helps. The authors speculate that the reason you learn slightly slower when you learn a bunch of related words all at once is because they share the same episodic memory. Generally, we have two kinds of memory. Semantic memory is context-free memory that has no associations. Episodic memory has associations with the things that happened at the same time. For example, maybe the first time you had a specific food, you were with some good friends having a good time. Now, every time you eat that food, you recall the night that you had. The same thing can happen with words. You remember what was happening around the time you learned a new word. This might be the key to helping people to learn words faster, and might explain why some people find that immersive language learning and comprehensible input works so well. As you listen to a story, you learn new words. These words get associated with the story and enter your episodic memory. This might help you to recall the words faster and retain them longer. So maybe there's something to all this comprehensible input and immersive language learning that people are into right now on YouTube.